Justice is a dish best served cold. If it were served warm, it would be just water. Today, I'm going to recap a 2026 action thriller film called Headshot. The film opens in a penitentiary, where a man garbed in a shirt, escorted by police officers, meets a mob boss known as Lee. The shirt-clad man presents him with images of the youths he's assassinated and informs him that his retribution is coming the following day. Meanwhile, another inmate, assigned to mopping the floors, filches a blade from the cleaning pail and stabs a guard in the throat. This inmate then procures a firearm, killing another of the penitentiary's guards. An ensuing gunfight results in the inmate eliminating several guards before being mortally struck. Lee seizes the shirted man by the skull, crashing him against the door, rendering him unconscious. Lee then frees himself, challenging the man to engage in unarmed combat. The injured man cannot contend with Lee, collapsing to the hard prison floor. Thereafter, Lee liberates the other inmates, encouraging them to seize their weapons and make their escape. Shortly after, the guards find themselves confronting the escaped inmates. A devastating gunfight ensues, resulting in the demise of all men present. Lee then reappears, making his escape from the penitentiary. Fast forward 2 months, Dr. Ailin is attending to a man, the film's leading character, who is in a coma in a secluded hospital on a tiny island. His past and true identity are shrouded in mystery. He eventually regains consciousness, tumbling out of bed in the process. Ailin is awakened, commencing her examination of the man. Sadly, he has no memory of his injuries or his own identity. Consequently, he adopts the name Ishmael, inspired by the novel Moby Dick that Ailin is currently reading. Gazing at his reflection, Ishmael experiences fleeting recollections of a woman shooting him in the face. Following medical assessments, Ailin presents him with a new wardrobe. As days pass, Ishmael's health improves, and he spends increasing amounts of time with Ailin. During a beach outing, Ailin discloses that he was discovered on the shore by a local inhabitant. The narrative shifts to Anto, a gang leader, and his right-hand man, Bondi. They are expecting Lee for a meeting, but Lee is tardy. Anto's anger flares, but Bondi persuades him to exercise patience. When Lee finally appears, Anto gets straight to business, expressing his reluctance to continue their partnership, given the inferior quality of the weapons Lee has been supplying. Concurrently, a brawl erupts between rival gang members outside. Ultimately, Besi, Lee's enforcer, easily overpowers Anto's men. Rika, another of Lee's gang members, hurls a knife at one of Anto's goons before engaging in combat with the others. Anto draws a firearm, intending to kill Lee, but Lee counters by impaling Anto's throat with his chopsticks. Subsequently, Lee appropriates Anto's firearm, eliminating the remaining members of the opposing gang. As he is poised to assassinate Bondi, the latter imparts critical information. He reveals to Lee that Ishmael, formerly a member of Lee's gang, is alive. Lee fires a shot, grazing Bondi's ear, and instructs him to visit the hospital to verify the information about Ishmael. Bondi complies and heads to the hospital, behaving belligerently once there. A security guard attempts to intervene, but Bondi dismisses him with a slap. Ailin then steps in, attending to Bondi's ear injury. Bondi interrogates Ailin about Ishmael's whereabouts, but she is reluctant to disclose the information. Bondi then resorts to threats, but his intimidation is interrupted by the timely arrival of Ishmael, who firmly grabs Bondi's hand. In retaliation, Bondi hurls a glass bottle at Ishmael's head, momentarily disorienting him. Ishmael retaliates by thrusting Bondi against a wall. Bondi draws a firearm, but Ishmael swiftly seizes the ammunition magazine. Overwhelmed by Ishmael's prowess, Bondi hastily flees the scene. Subsequently, Ailin and Ishmael journey to the city. Ailin proposes that they travel to Jakarta together. She rationalizes that the hospital is no longer safe, and Ishmael needs a surgical procedure to remove the bullet fragments lodged in his brain, which can be performed in Jakarta. Ishmael, however, asserts that he first needs to unravel the mystery of his identity and past before joining her in Jakarta. The following day, he escorts her to the bus station. Lee's henchmen, covertly observing from a vehicle, notice them. As the bus begins its journey, Lee's men initiate their pursuit, assuming Ishmael is on board. Meanwhile, Ishmael hitchhikes with a moped rider. Later, the bus is intercepted by Lee's thugs, who are in pursuit of Ishmael. A henchman abruptly executes the bus driver, and the gang members proceed to search the bus. A frantic Ailin contacts Ishmael, informing him about the perilous situation. The henchmen then commence firing upon the bus passengers. The only survivors are Ailin and a young girl. When a henchman prepares to execute the girl, Ailin emerges from hiding, pleading for the girl's life. Bondi demands Ishmael's whereabouts from Ailin, who informs him that Ishmael remained in the city. Ishmael soon reaches the scene on the moped. He boards the bus, searching for Ailin, but finds no trace of her. Shortly thereafter, Lee's thugs return to the bus, intending to incinerate the bodies and erase any evidence. One of the henchmen brandishes a machete, attempting to eliminate Ishmael, but the protagonist incapacitates him by breaking his arm. Another thug enters and douses Ishmael with gasoline, trying to ignite a lighter, but Ishmael forcefully shoves him away. As the henchman struggles to retrieve the lighter, Ishmael reaches him and puts a bullet through his eye. Next, another one of Lee's goons enters, torch in hand, and casts it onto the floor. Ishmael shatters the rear window and leaps out of the bus. He then finds himself in combat with yet another of Lee's henchmen, who attempts to force Ishmael back onto the flaming bus. He overpowers the henchman and then exterminates another one, brutally smashing their skull against the bus. Shortly, law enforcement personnel arrive at the scene, striking Ishmael on the head and rendering him unconscious. Lee's minions transport Ailin and the young girl to their hideout. Bondi, growing increasingly pompous and talkative, oversteps, leading to his execution by the henchmen. Our protagonist regains consciousness in an interrogation room. He's under suspicion for the massacre on the bus, but he maintains that his sole intent was locating his friend Ailin. An Interpol official subsequently briefs him about Lee's operation, wherein youngsters are abducted and molded into devoted traffickers and criminal muscle. Ishmael was one such recruit. The official discloses that they had managed to apprehend Lee once, found wandering weaponless and without protection, but he eventually slipped away. The official then presents a photograph of Lee and Ishmael together at a restaurant. Our hero confesses he has no memory of this, just as the lights suddenly go out. The official stands to investigate, but is swiftly dispatched through the window with a machete. Lee's hit squad is storming the police station with the aim of assassinating Ishmael. The machete-wielding henchman enters the room, attempting to kill Ishmael, who shields himself with the table to which he is cuffed. He then shoves the henchman using the table, swiftly decapitating him with his own weapon. Unexpectedly, a grenade is hurled into the police station, and Ishmael takes cover behind the table. Following the explosion, the hitmen enter the room to confirm Ishmael's death, only for him to emerge from their rear and exterminate them with a firearm. Ishmael attempts an escape, but is met by Lee's henchmen at the exit. As they open fire, Ishmael finds cover in the nick of time. The henchmen then disperse to hunt for him. He ambushes one of them, sparking off a fierce fight. Ishmael takes cover under a table as the henchman unloads his firearm. When the henchman's ammunition is spent, Ishmael lunges at him, overpowering him. After a grueling bout of close combat, Ishmael shoots the henchman in the face. The episode culminates with Ishmael grounding the remaining henchmen. Following the confrontation, Ishmael experiences flashbacks of the two henchmen he's just vanquished. In a past life, when he was under Lee's employ, they were companions. Lee makes a visit to Ailin and dials his minion's phone number, intending to instruct him not to assassinate Ishmael. Much to his astonishment, Ishmael answers, stating his survival. Lee forcefully grabs Ailin by her throat, prompting her to drive a pair of scissors into his shoulder. He swiftly removes them and loosens his hold. As Ishmael advances towards Lee, we are privy to flashbacks from his time training with Lee's minions. Ishmael ventures into a dense forest and eventually discovers a well. Here, he encounters Besi and learns that he, Besi, and Rika had been trained collectively. Lee would subject the children to starvation by confining them to the well. After several days, he'd toss in water, and the sole survivor of the ensuing fight for sustenance would be set free. Ishmael attempts to persuade Besi to withdraw his support for Lee, but Besi's loyalty prevails. A fight ensues, with Ishmael overpowering Besi, delivering a potent blow to his head. With death imminent, Besi makes his way to the beach, passing away while appreciating the vista. Ishmael follows him to the shore, only for Rika to emerge behind him, shooting at him as he scrambles away. Upon discovering Besi's corpse, she gives chase to Ishmael. When she locates him, Ishmael throws sand in her eyes and seizes her firearm. It is at this point that he recollects Rika being the one who shot him, inducing his coma. He commands her to lead him to Lee, but she defies him, provoking a duel. Despite Rika's numerous injuries, Ishmael ultimately prevails. He then pleads for her to cease fighting, expressing his desire to stop killing. Rika exploits his distraction and produces a gun, but is unable to shoot him again. Instead, she fires aimlessly, squandering her ammunition. Caught off guard, he gravely injures her by instinctively hurling a knife. In her dying moments, he consoles her and then contacts Lee, admitting that his memory has fully returned. Subsequently, Ishmael uncovers Lee's secret lair. Meanwhile, in the hideout, a henchman is preparing to violate Ailin. The little girl intervenes, pelting a plate at the man's head, and Ailin uses a shard from the shattered plate to slash him. Ailin then seizes the automatic rifle and eliminates the henchman. They venture into the corridor, disposing of another henchman. During their attempted escape, Ailin encounters more of Lee's men, but fortuitously, Ishmael arrives and dispatches them. Upon their reunion, Ailin initially exhibits hostility towards Ishmael due to their past relationship, which resulted in her captivity. He persuades her that he's shed his former self, leading to a heartfelt embrace. Lee makes his entrance, enraged that Ishmael has slain both Besi and Rika, individuals he held in high regard. Subsequently, a grueling battle ensues between the two, with Lee exhibiting dominance due to his superior strength and wealth of experience. In due course, he lands multiple blows on Ishmael's head, leaving him dazed. Lee seizes the opportunity to strike a punishing blow, but Ishmael narrowly evades it. Thereafter, Ishmael manages to turn the tables in his favor. However, he collapses to the ground, fatigued, allowing Lee to escape to the exterior. The protagonist gives chase, and the fight resumes amidst the dense jungle. The climax of their struggle results in Ishmael impaling Lee on a sharp branch of a tree. In a final, desperate attempt to claim victory, Lee tries to skewer Ishmael on the same branch, but Ailin intervenes in time. Succumbing to his injuries, Lee meets his demise. Ailin recuperates in a hospital, while Ishmael continues to battle serious injuries. Despite his condition, he awakens with Ailin at his side, who greets him with a smile. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.